Idea of all these new technologies coming in and making job search easier, or even making marketing and recruiting easier. The challenge behind them, of course, is that we have to use them in a way that it adds value, not in a way that it makes us one of a million that fall into someone's inbox that all sound the same, which I know we all get those messages in LinkedIn where you can tell it was automated. We're going to look at maybe one of the systems that's generating those and talk about how you could use it in a more positive way, even though the technology itself may not be the greatest. And we'll also talk about other tech tools that you can use. We're going to talk about 3, maybe 4 tech tools that you can use to help your job search. So say hello, let me know that you're joining me in the comments, and let's get going with our Trend Tuesday Live. So we come here live every Tuesday, talk about the now, the new, and the next in careers. And we also talk about how you can better help your clients and get better results so that they can get better results. So that's why we're here. So let's dive in and talk about what's going on in this space. And it's been going on actually for a really long time. If you've hung around at all, you know that I talk about Crystal. It used to be Crystal Knows. And that was a software that came on, I don't know, maybe in 2017, 2018, where it could go through someone's profile and give you their personality assessment based on their profile. And it does a DISC assessment. It's actually pretty accurate. Well, not too surprisingly, now these technologies have connected into LinkedIn. So you can get someone's LinkedIn profile, and then it will give you an assessment of them, their DISC, and all of that. Now, what's cool for us as career services providers is that recruiters are also using very similar technologies to get profiles of our clients, right? We've looked at Humantic, which is one of the systems that does this. And then I've been talking to Crystal. Crystal Knows quite a bit lately. And they said that about 1/3 of their business is people using their tool in recruiting. And it actually does a whole interview assessment. And is the person aligned with the job? It's pretty fascinating just to see what they're doing. And hi, Jane. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Chris. Thanks for joining us. And Nancy, always good to see you. So we are looking at how do you use this technology to improve your search? And there's kind of the basics, right? That someone could use a customer management system, a CRM, to in their connections to plan all of that. And now even a lot of those integrate with LinkedIn so that you can have those conversations. And it's funny because LinkedIn has their approved list of vendors. And I'm guessing that Crystal and Human Linker, the two I'm going to show you, aren't on that. So we always have to know that there's a little bit of a risk that you're connecting a system to LinkedIn that could get you in trouble. I just don't, I haven't seen the risk to be huge, but it's always possible there. So hi, John. It's good to see you as well. Okay. So the basic idea here is we know networking is important. There's a video on our YouTube page about what we think of as the hidden job market, which is not a certain percentages of positions that aren't posted. Very few positions aren't posted anywhere, right? Although it is growing a little bit because recruiters are tired of the flood of applications, but it's not that. That's just a little part of the hidden job market. The bigger part of the hidden job market is the fact that people hire people that they know. People hire people that are referred to them. And some data shows up to 80% of teams would prefer to hire someone who is referred in. And, you know, the kind of general data is around 40% of people hiring managers say that they'd like to hire someone who's a referral. So when you look at that data, that's what creates the hidden job market, that even if a position is posted, which most are, the majority of people would rather hire someone who's known than hire someone who's an unknown quantity. So how do we help our clients become the person that is known? How do we help them grow their network to where when something is posted in a company that they're interested in, boom, we already have the in that we need to be able to do that. And one of the simplest ways to do this, and I know we all teach it, but now technology can make it faster, farther, better, is creating a target list. So this is one of the, oh, thanks, John, for posting. So if you're not on LinkedIn, I'll see if I can figure out how to get that over to YouTube later. We also posted some things in our Facebook group about how you can give to those on the East Coast and inland who were impacted by Helene. And I know that's a lot of you. A lot of our career folks are on the East Coast. So I'm glad to see you, John, and thank you for sharing that. Okay, so let's look at one of our options. So I was just running through this last Friday with a LinkedIn client. I teach people how to use LinkedIn for their networking. And so this is where we started. And I know that we all get really carried away with the prompts. We love that. I have now found that you get a ton better data when I say you're a career coach and you're helping someone research companies, blah, blah, blah. I just ask the question, create a list of 10 mid-sized pharma companies. Those are the specifics that we need. All of the who are you role playing stuff, I don't know, I haven't found it makes that big of a difference. The specifics that we need are the specifics our client needs anyways. What types of companies are you targeting? What makes them different? What makes them interesting to you? And that's going to help us use these systems to get as good of quality content as we can. So create a list of 10 mid-sized pharma companies with clinical development and a pipeline. Probably wasn't the right words, right? Because she was typing, she was talking and I was typing, but it got close enough because the first thing that popped up on this list was a company that was of interest. So we went through this list and said, okay, these are some people that you might want to talk to. And we looked at how you can do the LinkedIn search to find those people or find those companies. I'll drop that YouTube video in the links because it's a whole thing on how you can find these people on LinkedIn. It's not our focus of today. But then I just thought, okay, let's see what Perplexity can do. Some days Perplexity is good at this and some days Perplexity isn't so great at this, but I always like to test it out. So based on that company list, share the LinkedIn profile URLs for some people in these companies. And it is funny how some days it will do it and some days it won't. So it gave me a few. It didn't give me a ton because it's doesn't want to do that. That's okay. What LinkedIn groups might I join to connect with people who work for these companies? So again, this is a place where if I ask ChatGPT this question, ChatGPT will often give me things that aren't actually LinkedIn groups, but they sound really great. Whereas Perplexity will give me the actual LinkedIn groups that are people in this industry. And it's pulling from an article, so 30 LinkedIn groups every pharma. So it's not like going on to LinkedIn and searching the groups, but it gives me a list of real groups and how many members they have, so that I could decide if I wanted to join some of those groups. Then I asked about professional associations, right? Once I'm on a roll, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I can do here. What professional associations off LinkedIn? So I didn't want it to keep getting LinkedIn groups. So what professional associations could I go to where I might meet people in this industry? And it gave me a huge long list of professional associations. So this is that combination of using the technical tools that we have. And yes, it's not that much different than doing a Google search, but now we get all the information in one place and we can keep asking questions that would take it even to the next level, which is one of the reasons that I love Perplexity. So I chose my own follow-up question, trying to see if it would tell me which LinkedIn groups were the most active. And it didn't do a great job of that because I wasn't probably asking the question real well. But then I love that Perplexity gives you these extra questions that you could ask. Are there LinkedIn groups focused on drug development? What are the most popular LinkedIn groups for pharma? I already kind of asked that, but I could click on this question and see what it got. And it gives me those ideas of things to go into, which I love about Perplexity. But this is one of the easy ways we can use generative AI, Perplexity in particular, to find out where I could find some of the people. What are the groups? What are the professional associations? What are my target companies? Because then I can take that to the next step. So once I go through and I find my people on LinkedIn, then I can use some of these other tools that we're going to look at today. So I have a target list of companies that I'm interested in. Use that target list to find people through the company pages, through the post search, which we've gone through here. And then I start to find the profiles of people that I find interesting, that might want to connect, that do the types of work that I want to do, that work in the companies I want to work in, etc. That's the first thing, is finding some of these people to connect with. Then we move into what kinds of technologies could we use to actually help us do the connection. And there's a few different ways that we could do this. And I am most sold on Crystal software. We're actually going to be buying in to get kind of a group rate for you all that want to participate in our community and in Crystal knows. But I want to show you a few other systems, just because there are other options, and there might even be other options that I don't know about that you could share in the chat. So here's one option that we've been playing around with. It's called Human Linker. And Human Linker will do something similar to Crystal, where it will go into your profile and it will set up a profile for you. So Denise and I have been playing around with this a little bit. We played around with it a little bit during Tech Jam. And what it will do is it will give you a profile of a person based on their LinkedIn profile. Now, I'm not quite sure which pieces of data they're looking at, but I do know that it's not just dependent on the content someone has in their LinkedIn profile, because it pulls things, and it does a really good job of pulling your personality, even if you don't have that much content on your profile. So they're pulling from other places as well. And actually, Crystal has a whole thing on their website about where all the data comes from, where if you're curious. Let me see if I can make this just a little bit bigger. Okay. So here's the benefit of using these types of systems, is that it gives us an opportunity to get a little bit more insight into who somebody is. And all of these systems give you a certain amount for free, and then there's a monthly fee to get a few further profiles. So you and your client would have an opportunity to try it out before you decided you wanted to buy it. They're fairly new, so they're still doing that. But I've got where I can get a personality system, a personality assessment for Denise, and it goes through and it tells me that she is friendly, laid back, insightful. It gives me her disc, which may or may not be that important for some who may or may not know what those things mean. But then it gives me a little bit more of her problems, challenges. And then I love this part down here. So the tendencies, stressed by, and then motivated by. And, the ideas start popping right away for a coach of the ways that we could use some of this information to help us better connect with someone, to really understand who they are. Yes, we can read their profile, their actual profile content, and find those connection points between us and them. But these give us just some insights. We don't want to over count on them, right? Because they are just an approximation. But the more people that we've talked to have done these assessments, and Human Linker is pretty good. It's like a B rating. Crystal is better, but Human Linker is not bad in terms of its assessment. So then I get that data from the system. Now here's where some of these tools start to go a little off the rails, is that you can generate AI messaging to individuals. So let me see here. So I can create a campaign. I can send a personalized email, and you are going to recognize these messages as soon as you start to see them, because we get them in our inbox all the time. This is just something you would never say, right? Navigating the evolving landscape of career coaching and resume writing can be challenging. CTL offers resources to support professionals like you in maintaining high industry standards. Right? We don't want to send that email. However, it could give us a few ideas of things to highlight. We don't want to use these messages. The system's very nice that it will write them for you, but I find it more interesting to talk about the personality, what that might mean, and what we might do with that, right? It says that she enjoys talking about topics and conceptual ideas, Don't be afraid to use metaphors. And I just find some of this stuff in the personality area to be much more helpful than the actual messages themselves, which just sound incredibly AI generated. And there's really not much that I've seen yet that does a better job. So that's one option is a human linker. But you just have to know its limitations, right? Benefit, it gives you some personality, gives you some ideas. Downside, the messages are awful. They're awful. They just sound like AI, and you would never want to do that. So what I would do is I'd go to Denise's actual profile, right? I'd look at Denise's profile. I'd see, what is she working on? What is she talking about? What is she posting about? And if you know the digital branding process that we teach, it's really more about commenting and engaging on their posts first before you ever send that message, so that the message becomes a continuation of a conversation, not some random drop in someone's messaging where they're not expecting it from you. Now, even when you might have the cause to do that random message, maybe someone that doesn't post very often, whatever it might be. And with the job seekers I work with, there is occasion where we want to do kind of that cold message. You don't want to use something like this. You still want to go off of their profile, any interaction. And Kimberly Spate and I, who teach the hidden job market class, we've been even looking at ways you can use other profiles, other social media profiles, and perhaps even get AI to help you find those other profiles. Again, it's kind of hit or miss in terms of if it will do that. But it's a great way to think about it. Who is this person? What do they care about? What's their personality like? What types of messages might they respond well to? And then I can craft that message. This is why AI is not going to take over the earth anytime soon, because it can only get halfway, right? It says, oh, this is who this person is and this is what's important to them. But then it writes a message that just sounds ridiculous, even though it has all of that information, because its language model is just kind of programmed to sound ridiculous, right? So we can use prompts and other things to make it better. But when it comes right down to it, our brain has to get engaged and think about, how would I want to be connected with? How do I want to approach this person? What are our connection points? And how can I make that connection? So one of the other options that you have, and this is free, but it's not as good. It's not as good as some of the other systems. So I've been playing around with ChatGPT to try to get it to do a disc analysis of a profile. And my husband is actually the one that kind of started this process, because he was using this based off of a suggestion to prepare for an interview. And he put the disc profile in there of the individual who he was interviewing with, and see, give it the disc. And at first it just kind of said, I'm all for. Not very helpful, right? Marie is all for of these types, which, I mean, obviously as career professionals, we know is true, but it's not really a helpful assessment when I'm looking to figure out how might I connect with someone. So then we kind of programmed ChatGPT by asking it to tell us the 15 combinations of the disc. And specifically, I love that part of the disc where it gets a little more nuanced. And so it did that. It gives us the combination profiles. And then it says, then I said, give me the descriptive names. And this is kind of going off of what Human Linker and Crystal do, trying to see if I could recreate that in ChatGPT. And so I did that. And then it gave me my profile here of on my disc. And it did a better job for sure once I asked it all the questions and got it to be more nuanced and had it really go through what is my disc profile. And so the benefit of this would be, I could come in here and I could even paste in my own LinkedIn profile and say, based on my LinkedIn profile, how would I best approach a conversation with Marie? And it would give me some ideas. And it might even give me better ideas in the connection piece of it than Human Linker did, because I'm not constrained by whatever is in the background of Human Linker in terms of the way that they're phrasing the messaging. They've got something in the background there that is a formula for the approach that I don't love. So I might even get better stuff here using, this person's profile. Who are they? Set it up, dig deeper, and then put in my own profile and say, okay, based on, my stuff, how might I best approach this person? But I'd always ask for multiple ideas because you're going to want to pick and pull and finesse. You're not going to want to copy and paste a message, just like we wouldn't copy and paste any other kind of correspondence that any of these systems write. So I found this to be less helpful than Crystal, but maybe as helpful as Human Linker, but it takes a lot more work because you have to prep it and push it and have it know what that is. I haven't looked to see if there might be a custom GPT for analyzing people's profiles for DISC. But there it could be there. We were just doing it with prompts. And it's fun. It, gets you to think about who that person is, which is really the whole purpose of networking. Thinking about who this person is, how might I connect with them, what valuable conversation we might have. And then it's just giving me some insight into doing that. All right. So then the last one, and then I've kind of been hinting around here a little bit. I'll show it to you briefly. And this is one you'll see more from us because we are going to partner with them, is Crystal. So Crystal knows, very similar to Human Linker. Like I said, it's been around since 2017, 2018. It gives you some really great content around who someone is. It lets you, think about how you want to connect with them. Let's see, where's my solutions? It lets you think about how you want to connect with them. There's a fascinating HR component of it. Like I said, they said it's 30% of their business that this helps them with hiring. It connects to LinkedIn, so you can get insights from someone's LinkedIn profile. We've got colleagues who are using it for sales, colleagues who are using it for interview coaching already. We're just kind of starting to scratch the surface about what it can do and the insights it can provide. So it's a pretty cool system and very similar to Human Linker, but just kind of on a whole nother level. So you can get outreach plans and it will give you like a tailored messages, and they're better. They're still not something you want to copy and paste, but they're better. They're written with a little bit more thoughtful approach. And it goes really more into depth in terms of how you want to communicate, how you want to connect, what's important to that person. So we're loving this. We're going to try it out for a little while. If you're interested in learning more, let me know. Oh, Tom, we talked about that before you got here. So I'm not sure if Crystal is an approved extension. My guess would be no. However, what I've noticed is that I realize there's a risk and we all need to think about that. But most of the extensions that most people are using are not on the approved list. And yet we still get all of these messages daily from people who are obviously using these tools like Human Linker. So, take that what you will. I'll find out if Crystal knows is on the approved list or not. They've been around long enough that they may be, but it's just a powerful tool. And I wonder if you wouldn't necessarily have to connect it to LinkedIn if you could upload someone's profile so that you don't have to take that risk if you don't want to. Those are good things for me to explore as we go through our partnership here. Write myself a note. Okay, so really cool tool. Again, we've been using it outside of job search, but I think the tool is very impressive for any kind of connection, messaging, communication that we want to do with an individual. And it gives you that opportunity to just look at how you want to approach someone and how you want to communicate with them. And like I said, in a sales conversation, in an interview, in a networking conversation, could all add benefit. So that's part of the piece, is that we figured out who we want to connect with, and we dive deeper into who actually are there, who are they. And we can use tools like Human Linker, Crystal, or using their profile inside of ChatGPT can take their name and stuff out of it so that it's not getting that identifying information in there. But it's just really understanding who those people are. Then you get into how can I connect with them on a regular basis? And today there are a whole bunch of, customer relationship management programs. There's a bunch of free ones where you can set it up to tell you how frequently you want to connect with someone, how do you want to message them. A lot of them also connect into your email system like Outlook or Gmail, so that you've got that consistent connection. And technology has helped facilitating that, maybe even giving you ideas for the messaging, but you're always paying attention to what makes sense and where do you want to go to next. And I was recently doing a little bit of research on the customer relationship management programs. So if you're interested in that, you can drop me a line. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna promote any of those directly because there're just so many, and it really depends on what you want to get out of it. And I'm a fan of starting free, starting as low cost as you can. I wouldn't jump into Sales Navigator right away, because that's, if you don't have a system to use it, it's not going to be worth your money. So if you can start with the free searches on LinkedIn, like I said, I put those in my calendar and I engage with people on a regular basis, just using my calendar and a custom search URL from LinkedIn. That is a great place to start. Then if you're a spreadsheet person or a Trello person, or you want to dive into one of these free customer relationship management systems, that could be a good step for automating. I don't know that I'd say automate, but maybe automating to you. I wouldn't necessarily automate messages for your networking yet, but automating, um, kind of bossing you around, right? I get an email that says, hey, send an email to Tom, and here's the basics. This is your third email to them, whatever it might be. You can set some of those systems up. You could help your client set them up. But I would start small and free, and then work your way up as you go. So we find the people to connect with, we learn about them as much as we can, and then we start making those connections, whether that's comments on posts or it's an email sequence that we've got. Whatever works for you and your client, but you're using the technology to inform your approach, and then you might use the technology to help with the consistency of your approach, but always be a little bit aware of the messages, a lot aware of the messages, and then aware of your automation. Is it really adding value, or is it going to, make you look like you're using automation, which isn't ideal today, which is kind of interesting, right? We went through this period where everybody said, oh, automate, that's a smart thing to do. And now obvious automated messages are losing people's trust. So we just want to be careful with some of those things and what we do with them. So we are going to be talking more about these technology tools tomorrow and how you can integrate them into your job search strategy, along with more of the human networking piece. So how do we help people figure out how they network? What's their style? And then figuring that approach that works best for them. And if you're interested in that, and I'll drop the link down there, and you can join us for that session. It's just a 90-minute session tomorrow. And then, of course, our certified hidden job market class starts next week. And Kimberly and I have weaved through these AI tools through the 6 sessions that we teach for that class, so that you can really integrate the technology into your process to make it easier, faster, better, in a way that works for you and your clients, not just the technology for technology's sake. So I hope that was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. We cover more trends from the now, the new, and the next in careers. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week.